Good afternoon. Welcome back to our Corona Inspiration Series, May 10th, the 16th day of Iyar, the 31st day of the Omer, installment number 39, Sunday, the beginning of a week. And I want to talk about today something we actually have from this week's Torah portion, which is very fascinating because we learn about the law of Shemitah. Shemitah is a fascinating idea that is brought in the Torah, where when we lived in Israel, and even today when we live in Israel, we have to make sure that every 7 years the land lies fallow. And the law, even though many people don't realize, applies today as well. In Israel, every 7th year, the Jews are not allowed to work the land, and there's entire systems that are set up of how they deal with it, and it's very fascinating to explore that. And we have done it at other times, and you can look online and you can find a lot about it. But this is the way it was. In the 7th year, the land lay fallow, and you weren't allowed to do any work in the land. And this part of this idea was that you had to dedicate that year towards God. We're very busy with the land, we're very busy working, we don't have time besides to do the mitzvahs and to pray, but to really grow Jewishly, to study, to learn, to spend time in your prayer, to really grow spiritually. So this is where the idea of the sabbatical came, that you spend your time in your own personal growth, even though we have every Shabbos as a little quick reminder that there is a God in the world, but we need time to really study properly. This is where the idea of a sabbatical came in the world of university, where they take a sabbatical year to grow in their field. This is all based on the Torah idea. But it's very interesting where the Torah mentions that there's a question that people may have. You may ask a question, what will happen on the 7th year? What are we going to eat if we don't plant, and we don't sow, and we don't prune, and we don't reap? And our fields are open to the public, and we're just like one of the many public. We can take what we need to eat for that day and the next few days. So what are we going to eat? Where's the food going to come from? We had a miracle of 40 years. The food fell from heaven, but that only happened in the desert and never again. So where's it going to come from? What's going to happen? So the Torah says that v'tzivisi es berchasi, I am going to command my blessing, and in the 6th year the crop will be extra, enough to last you for the 6th year, for the 7th year, and even into the 8th year. And it goes even further, because every 7 sabbaticals there was a jubilee year, the 50th year. And so in those years, 2 years in a row, you didn't work the land. So the blessing had to be even more. And that's the way it was when the Jews kept it. There was a blessing that happened. But this blessing took an incredible amount of faith. It took an incredible amount of faith to believe, because it wasn't sitting there right before. But Hashem promised that if you live this way, you will see that not only you will have plentiful, but also you'll be more full, the quality will be better. It took an incredible amount of faith. But from here, we really learn something very important, and that is that parnasa, livelihood, is really a blessing of Hashem. We often put in the same amount of effort year after year in the work that we do. So unless you're an hourly employee, we usually get the same all the time, year after year, day after day. But if you're in business, if you're in anything that is based on some kind of a commission, where it's not a set salary, and even in a set salary, in many other forms it can happen as well, but all of a sudden, some years that effort brings in a greater blessing. And some years that same effort brings in less blessing. So it's not directly related to our effort, the success of what we achieve. What is the difference between one year and another? This is what God decided. On Rosh Hashanah, God decides what we're going to make. Parnasa is in the hands of God. And though we have to be a partner in making it happen, but at the end of the day, it's in the hands of God, and that is where it begins and ends. So we have to begin our lives with the faith, and our day with faith and believing that it's God's blessing that will make us successful. And at the end of the day, thank God, recognizing that it's because of Him that we have the success. So even though we may be in trying times, especially when it comes financially, and people look around what's going on, and though they maybe have a little bit of some candy thrown from the government to help you pass by in bare minimum, but then the question is, my business, my future, what's going to happen, how long I'm going to be out of work, how long will I not produce, and there are many questions that come up. And we must remember that the same God that provides parnas is the same God that is in control of the world now with this pandemic. And when we believe, ultimately, it will all come to what we need and plus. So it all begins with belief. So this is the time when I encourage you, like I encourage myself, to strengthen our faith, to use the time spiritually, because now when we strengthen our faith, it will bring about at a later point, and even very, very soon, even now, to have whatever we need from God's full, complete, wholesome hand. So may we all have all the blessings. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.